because I had my son in prison. He's like, girl, you're so nosy. He's like, I'm doing something. And I'm like, well, I can help. What do you need help? Well, like, what are you doing? He's like, just come over. So I come over and he's using that machine to put the Molly in the capsules, giving your baby away at 3 months old. I had never experienced depression, anxiety ever until I gave my son away.
Hey, it's Kyle, and we are back with the first episode of the 10 Toes podcast from the Yard Content Studios in Hollywood, Florida. We have our guest, our awesome guest today. I'm with my co-host, Jason.
How are we doing?
As 8UpJ on TikTok and Instagram. And Amanda from 300 Letters.
That's me.
300 letters? What's 300 letters?
We're all looking at her like, this might be the most beautiful guest we've ever had.
Well, she told me she was a dope dealer. I didn't
And you're
know
a
what to
dope
think.
dealer? What?
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Off camera, Jason was like, what was your crime? Oh, so you're a dope dealer. You don't look like a dope dealer.
A lot of people are buying drugs from her just to probably see her.
You don't look like a dope
You
dealer.
guys are a mess.
I mean,
You guys
just saying,
are a mess.
They were like, hey, listen, I don't do drugs, but can I get some just so I can...
Can I have whatever you're selling?
But I think
Yeah.
before we go into crime and all that stuff, I think that's a really good place to start, because I don't really think that you look like a dope dealer either. So, like, do you get a lot, like, are people surprised when they see, because you have a big social media presence, you know, with your nonprofit, which you're doing in South Florida, and you guys are out and about a lot, but every now and then you talk about going to prison and being incarcerated.
Yep.
And are people like, what the fuck?
Every time. And I'm out in public and I'm like, babe, remember when we were in prison? Oh, my bad. And I talk about prison like, you know, just it's part of my journey. It's part of my life. And people look at me, they're like, what, prison? And I'm like, yeah, like it's, you know, like you don't look like you went to prison. I'm like, tell me what a person that went to prison looks like.
That's for us. So we just moved into our brand new studio at the Yard Content Studios here in Hollywood, Florida, and we made sure that, you know, the people that we're working with for the building, you know, we're all felons. Mm-hmm. We've all been to prison. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, that's cool, and you know, they gave us a little background. They you know, speeding tickets or whatever. They have no judgment against us, but we're all kind of in the same thing where people are like, you don't look like you've been to prison.
Yeah.
What does prison look like? Same thing with Jason. You were surprised. You were surprised.
But that's Hollywood. So Hollywood makes it look like, you know, tattoos, you know, mohawks, crazy stuff, you know.
We've had some guests, both women and men, where you could look at them and say, yeah, those are 10
I
toes
agree.
guests.
But I mean, when you see some people, you're just like, there's just no way. But I will say this, you know, most of the time, girls get in the game because of their boyfriends. And I don't know your story, but I'm assuming that you probably got into the game helping your man out.
Of course.
Okay.
And and take us there. What
state or feds?
Feds.
Really?
You are a
Fed
fed
time.
baby?
I'm a fed baby. And
Oh my
son's
God.
a fed baby because I had my son in prison.
What?
You had your son in I want to talk about that for a second. Your son was born, where were you at when you had your son in prison?
In Coleman. No, when I had him, I was in Tallahassee.
Okay.
But I was sentenced to my time in Coleman in, you know, the camp in Orlando. So I was there. And I found out I was pregnant like 2 weeks after I got there.
So what happens?
Yeah, walk us through the whole process. From
Walk us
start
through that,
What
because
happens?
I just did a piece on our social media channels. I found out that at FPC Bryan, Warden Hall set up well, actually, there's lactating rooms in all female prisons. I just found that out.
Yeah, but that wasn't like that.
It really came to fruition in 23 because of Elizabeth Holmes. And, you know, Elizabeth Holmes is a very high-profile inmate, and there was a recent change with the director. It was Colette Peters at the time. But, you know, when I do a story on federal prison tips, because I do 6 million views a month, so I make sure everything's vetted. I check with 3 different people. I checked with 3 different former correctional officers from Bryan. They told me the same thing. Elizabeth Holmes had lactating rooms. Her husband, Billy, could come and pick the milk up whenever he wanted.
Where was she incarcerated? What state?
Bryan in Texas.
Oh, in Texas. Okay.
But so you have the baby. You find out you're pregnant at Coleman in Florida.
Yeah. So I'm already a mom. I get there. Self-surrender date was in February. The day before, we were actually at Universal Studios because, we were in Orlando. So I took my oldest son, and I'm like, I got to go out with a bang. So he wasn't going to be with me for 2 years.
You took your family to Universal
the
and
day
then
before
to
my
Coleman.
self-surrender date. Yeah, it was wild. But I'm 24, 23 at the time. So I'm thinking about my son, his happiness. I'm prioritizing him. Like, he needs to have
And how old is he?
good memory of his mama before. He's 6. He had just lost his biological father a month prior to my self-surrender date on an accident, a 4-wheeler accident. So there's a lot going on, emotionally, mentally. Like, he's a baby. He's 6 years old. So we get on all the roller coasters before I turn myself in. I get to prison. I'm like in shock. I remember walking in, like, I have to turn myself in because I had a self-surrender date. So it's like I have to willingly walk in here and be like, hi, guys, I'm here for my 2 years. That was really, really fucking with me. And they didn't do a pregnancy test the day I got there.
I tell people I couldn't do it.
Huh?
I didn't get to self-surrender because I ran. But I tell people that had I been given the opportunity, obviously I wouldn't have done it because I ran before. But they were like, Kyle,
Back then, I don't know if I could have done it either.
Kyle,
I had
63
to.
months.
I had my son, and there was just I don't have much family. I don't have any family in Florida. I had to prepare. I had to get things prepared. Like, I couldn't. There was no way where I could just say, okay, let me just start my time now.
A female inmate in the Federal Bureau of Prisons finds out they're pregnant. Then what happens? Do they
find
do
out
the neonatal
I don't
stuff
find
they're
out I'm
supposed to?
pregnant when I'm there. I get there. It's like a couple of weeks, and I feel really weird. I've always worked out. I've worked out my whole life. So the only way I've been dealing and managing with my emotions and the stress is working out. So I just would walk a lot on the track, run. That's the only thing I knew to do at the moment. And I start getting a cramp, and I'm like, this is weird. I don't really get cramps when running. And then I realized, just that time of the month has passed. But then again, you're around 500 women. So everything shifts for women when we're around each other. I went to the medical. It was a Sunday. And I asked a nurse, which she became my homegirl. Shout out to her. So I told her, I was like, can I do a pregnancy test? My time of the month hasn't come, and I've already been here for 2 weeks. I was supposed to go through that already, and I just feel weird. And she's like, we don't do it on Sundays, but come back tomorrow. So I remember going the next day. It was Monday. As soon as I woke up, I ran to the medical, and I told her, I was like, hey, sorry, I talk with my hands a lot.
That's
fine. I was like, hey, I'm back. And she did the pregnancy test, and she's like, do you want to see the pregnancy test? And I said, why would I want to see a test that's negative? She's like, because it's not negative. And I just remember, like, everything, just like,
holy shit, what am I gonna do?
Yep, that's exactly how I felt. I was crying, I was stressed. My first thing was like, okay, what are my options? Because I don't want to have this baby. I don't want to have a baby in prison. I'm thinking, timeline wise, it looks like I'm not going to be with my baby. What happens? And I had no idea about anything about prison, about how things operated. I had no idea. I was a 24-year-old woman, in a federal prison, never been in trouble. And, it was crazy. So
what year is this?
2014.
Okay. So this is
February
a little bit before
2014.
Coleman gets ready to shut down.
That's when I turned myself in.
Yeah, it's right. But that time at Coleman was wild.
I know.
And that was crazy. I thought, like, this is some shit you would read in books. Or
there's a lot of allegations about Coleman shutting down because it would have been the next Dublin had it not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was so much going on there. It was super stressful. When I was 7 months pregnant, they sent me, I was eligible for a program for women that are first-time offenders and they have less than 5 years. There's only 2 in the country, one in Tallahassee and one in Washington. It's called the MINT program. So because I had 24 months and I was first-time offender, I was eligible for the one in Tallahassee. And you get to go over there at 7 months, give birth, and stay with your baby for 3 months. So that's what I did. So
in Tallahassee, there's a unit where the babies are there too.
It's not a unit. It's a halfway house for federal inmates. And what they did is they turned a section of it that was completely like closed off, no windows, one entrance to people that are to women that are incarcerated and they're pregnant. They found out they're pregnant when they're incarcerated. It was kind of crazy. You know those little yoga mats? Those were the beds for the incarcerated women. Like you didn't even have that type of bed at the feds for the incarcerated pregnant women. So, and if you would double up the mats, there was like a huge problem. It was intense.
What's the quality of living like in this Mint program?
So imagine a warehouse with no windows, 5 beds, 5 cribs, lockers, 1 shower, and a microwave with a TV. The only incentive I will say,
you looks like
have you brought attention to this and
we're bringing attention to it right now?
Yeah, I know, but this is beyond crazy.
It was crazy, and the people that ran that program were not even. They were like not fucking qualified at all. Like these are just people that applied to be the front desk. No, there was no COs there. There was no correctional officers there.
That's what makes it worse because it gives them more power.
Because they think they have more fucking power.
Yep.
They think they have more authority. They
it's
were
like halfway
extremely
houses.
condescending.
Can you go outside or anything like that, or just inside?
You could go outside 2 times a day for 30-minute intervals, 30 to 40-minute intervals. Yep. And then you had to go grocery shopping with like the person that ran that program. It was intense. I mean, the only incentive was that the phone was free and there was no minutes on the phone. So, but then you have some girls that are not mindful. I mean, there was only 3 of us in there, but would be on the phone like all day, calling everybody that they could. That was
like, the babies go for their naps. You feed them, you do everything.
Yeah, one baby cries, they all cry. You're not, it was intense. One of the babies cry, you all cry. What really was the weirdest part of that program was the people that were operating that program. That was the completely most...
Was it BOP?
It was the BOP because it was a halfway house, but then the people that worked there were just like anybody who applied, anyone who lived in Tallahassee and needed a front desk job.
It's just like a halfway house, Kyle.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So same thing.
When you had your kid in the hospital, were you handcuffed?
No, I was not handcuffed.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
I wasn't handcuffed.
You have the baby at the hospital and then you go straight to this program?
Have the baby at the hospital, stay with the baby at the hospital for 2 days, and then you go straight to the program.
With the baby?
With the baby.
Okay, so then what happens? You said you can only do this for 3 months.
You can only do this for 3 months.
So then what?
So then my mother-in-law has to pick up the baby, and drop me back off at prison so I can finish them.
So how'd you get to this place?
A furlough.
Oh, so wow.
Yeah, she got
and then you furloughed back to Coleman?
And then I furloughed back to Coleman.
And how much time did you have after that when you got back to Coleman?
I have 4 months.
Left.
Why
didn't they just let you go?
No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, was there any kind of vehicle that you could have tried, like compassionate release or something?
So they did reduce my time. When I found out I was pregnant, we were on my attorney's ass. So basically what they did, because my husband and I are co-defenders, right? Because it was only us on the case. So what they did was they reduced my time by saying that if I cooperated against him, that was the only loophole that the attorney could find to get me 4 months off, 3 months off. And it worked. So we did that because that's
so y'all weren't married.
We weren't married at the time.
Because if you were married, you wouldn't be able to do that. You can't
do that. Exactly. Yeah, we weren't married. We were boyfriend and girlfriend. We had only been dating for 2 years.
Yeah, I would definitely make you do that against me if you were pregnant, especially with kids at home. I wouldn't let you do all this. I'd do more time.
So initially, one day it's a long story too, but how it happened.
Now you guys are married.
Now we're married.
And baby's fine. He's what? How old is he now?
Baby's 10, and the oldest one's 17. So when the oldest one was 6 when I went in, now he's 17, and the baby's 10.
How hard was it? Was it harder turning yourself in, going to prison, or is it harder giving that baby up after 3 months?
Harder giving up the baby. Me and my oldest son already had a bond. We had already a connection. He knows I'm his mom. Giving your baby away at 3 months old, I had never experienced depression, anxiety, ever until I gave my son away. I had gotten the skinniest I had ever been. I could not sit still in the prison. If you, a chicken without a head, like that, everyone, Amanda, you need to relax. You need to sit down. Every single day, all of my time would be occupied. I would be preoccupied, working out 3 times a day, walking, reading, going from one room to the other. I just had so much anxiety and I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't even know I had anxiety at the time.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because you went to Universal. I went to Disney World.
When?
Well, I got in superseded indictment. So I got indicted in Georgia first, and then they indicted me in Florida. I was already out on bond. So when they indicted me in Florida, I had to go and do the arraignment, you know, so I didn't know if I was going to get bond again because they held me on the very first one. And I'm like, there's no way they're going to give me bond on 2 big cases. There's just no way.
Yeah.
So I was like, listen, let's just go and do something as a family for the last weekend. It was the most miserable. I wish I'd have just stayed home because the whole time I just kept looking at my daughter and just...
You had anxiety.
I just could not. Every time I turn around, I'm just thinking like, this is going to probably be over tomorrow. This is going to be over tomorrow. It might be the last time in a long time. And I just, like I said, I don't know how you did it. I really don't. It just destroyed me.
It destroyed me. Yeah, I know. It destroyed me too. I mean, how long did you do?
I did 8 years.
Wow. Yeah. So you mentally, even though when I was sentenced to 24 months, I thought my life was over. Like that was it. You feel like your life is done, you know? And being young too, and not having really, like when you're in survival mode, you don't really have a concept of like time. Every day is for the day. Like you're not thinking about the future. So at that moment, 2 years felt for me like an eternity. I was in survival mode.
I was different. So whenever they said 180 months at sentencing, I was like, 180
not
months?
that bad.
I'm like, 180 months? I'm like, that's only half a year in days. How many in months? I'm like, damn, 15 years. And all of a sudden it starts setting in. I'm like, my daughter's 5. I'm going to do 30. She'll be 18. I was like, holy shit, this is bad. And then you get in there and you have to look at that long sentence. It just starts to get to a point where it's like, days are not clicking. Days are not moving. Years are not making it feel better. And then they're like, wait till you get the halfway point where you start going down the hill. And then I get to the halfway point, start going down. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm over the hill, but good Lord, it doesn't get easier.
It doesn't get easier.
No, not at all.
No, it doesn't get easier. Every day feels the same. It's just a waiting game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take us back to where it all began. I want to hear about this.
How far back are we going?
What were you guys selling?
MDMA, Molly. So my husband's been selling drugs his whole life. You know, he's the oldest of 3 kids, just living in survival. His mom, you know, sold drugs. His grandma sold drugs. It's just a way of life. And when you grow up a certain way, it just becomes your norm too. And when you have the mentality of like, I want to move out, you know, I want to succeed in life.
So you were attracted to the bad boy.
I mean, when I met him, he was in college and we just clicked instantly. Like we just clicked. I was a single mom. He was in college. You know, he was doing his thing, like trying to go forward, and I was too. And so we were at different stages of survival and had different upbringings, but they just meshed.
You went in college at the time?
No, I was working.
So he was selling dope and going to school at the same time?
Yep. He was like, I'm going to do this until I finish school. That was that's always a game plan,
That was the plan.
Right? That's always a plan.
Did he drop out of school?
No, he graduated.
Oh,
we
he
were
did?
indicted. He graduated with his bachelor's degree while we were indicted. He walked that stage.
How long did he get?
He got 4 years?
Okay.
Yeah. He did 3.5.
What does he do
did the
now?
RDAP program. So
What
he
does
got a
he-
year off.
What does he do now?
He's a personal trainer, head coach at Legacy Fit, one of the biggest gyms in Miami. And he's an online coach too. Mm-hmm.
So what made it go feds? Like get into like how it all, like how did you get busted? You know, like.
Well, yeah, what made it federal and not a state case?
Yeah.
We're in
The
Florida,
amount
there's
of
plenty.
MDMA,
How much?
like over, I don't know, like 10 bricks.
Holy shit.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But they never physically caught us with anything. Just the
just
tracking.
They don't
This is all
have to.
tracking. And yeah, of course.
They had people telling you?
Of course. That's how it all began.
So get into that because people don't understand
Okay,
about the
so
ghost
we're-
dope thing. So start from time like
So, yeah, let's
how he got so
Back
big.
that up a second. You see this woman here, Amanda, a mother, business owner, you know, socialite in Miami now, and going through this, went to prison for 2 years on a bunch of MDMA, and they never caught you with any drugs.
Mm-hmm.
or guns or anything like that.
Nothing. They
So-
couldn't even find the cash.
So
They didn't even find the
They didn't
cash.
even find the cash.
that's wild. So explain to us.
That was
Like
the
how
best
he
hiding
got-
spot.
how he got
Whoever lives
big.
in that house has the best hiding spot they don't even know
Yeah.
of.
So the thing is, I know I got hiding spots I can't find still either. I forgot. I had so many of them. It's crazy. People don't understand how you miss them, but when you're moving money so much, you get paranoid and you start
forget.
moving, and or you had this spot, you grab some money on this one, you move to here and you do this, and it starts changing because you don't want to use the same one too much. You forget.
You're fried. You're in survival mindset.
Yes.
So yeah.
So take us back to like how it all started, not like from day one, from
But
the
just
time
like
it started, how it
how-
started getting really big.
And how I'm like aware of the MDMA and how that.
How did
plugs
you
me
play?
in.
How did you play a
So
role
how
in
can I
it?
roll?
Yeah, start us from the time you started knowing what was going on and how you got involved.
So, all right. So we meet. It's college night. We're in the Grove, right? We meet. I had just was leaving an abusive relationship. My son's father. And I'm working my ass off. I was a medical assistant, esthetician, laser tech at the time. I loved everything aesthetics and I wanted to be a physician's assistant. Like that was my goal where I was headed. So we meet college night and we just clicked. We were drinking, we're 23. My baby daddy pulls up because he had like something on my phone or I don't know what happened. He pulls up to where we're at and we're like, I'm like, bye, I'm never talking to that guy again. But then he's persistent and he pursues me. This is Legend, my husband. So we meet and then we're slowly talking and, you know, we're hanging out. I don't really know at this point much. He's in college. I know that. And that attracted me to him, you know. And I asked him one day, I'm like, what do you do for a living? Like, how do you make money? And he was doing music too. He has some YouTube videos. You can look him up. He was like, that's really like the career he was trying to pursue. So a rapper selling drugs, you know, hey. So in Miami. So that was that. And
Borrowing Lambos to cut social media videos.
the videos themselves are probably what indicted us in the beginning, but hey. So we're 22, 23 when we meet, you know, we're young. And I asked him, like, what do you do for, like, how do you make money? What, you know, I have a job full time. I'm busting my ass to live in a tiny little Havana apartment, $700 rent a month, me and my son. And I'm working hard. And I see him just like cash, you know, he has his charger, he's hanging out. He's like, don't worry. I just know I make money. So one day he bails on me for a date. We're supposed to go out. And he tells me I can't go out. I have shit to do. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm very like, I need to know everything. Like, what
Latino.
Yeah, straight Latina. That's how I am. Like, you're bailing on me for what? Like, I need to know what you're doing. You're full of shit. What's going on? He's like, girl, you're so nosy. He's like, I'm doing something. And I'm like, well, I can help. What do you need help? Like, what are you doing? He's like, just come over. So I come over and he's using that machine to put the Molly in the capsules. He's putting MDMA in capsules. And I'm like, this looks super easy. Like, I mean, I can just help you. You could probably do it faster and then we can just go out. And we can just go out.
Let's make more.
She's like, let
He's
me
just
help you so
putting
you
them-
can take me to dinner.
So you can take me out. Yeah. And you know, you're in Miami. We're young. I don't know anyone in Miami that hasn't sold or done drugs at some point in their lives. So I'm not in shock, like
Yeah,
saying
of
this.
course.
I'm not shocked. I'm not scared. I'm not like, oh my gosh,
Now
let
hurry
me
up,
run the
Oh my
motherfucker.
God, he's
way.
making pills.
Yeah, and at the time, you know, Molly wasn't like, they didn't have what's it called, like the label for it.
Yeah.
So he thought he was clear under the radar because there was no way to say
Say
that
it was
this
MDMA.
was MDMA. Exactly. But you know, you're 22, so you think you know, you think you have the
you know
world in the
everything.
palm of your hand.
So
you
he was
think
at
you know
the
it
right
all.
timing too, because that was when it was big down here.
That's when it
That's
was
when it was
big, and
real.
Legend was known for having the real pure MDMA. Like even enemies of his were like, I need to get his Molly, and would send girls or like mutual homeboys that they had to get his Molly because they knew that his shit was the real shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really. So where
So now you guys are
So he's
pressing
doing
up
that.
pills. Is this a
I'm
regular
not really
thing
doing
now?
shit. I just know what he's doing, and that's his business. I have a full-time job. I have a son. We don't even live together. So that's, you know, it's just clear to me. So once in a while, like, hey, babe, can you send this money to this person? And I'm like, okay, I'll send a Western Union to Publix. Also, not even thinking twice about it. Like just sending it, the money to the plug. And like, can you send 3,000 to this number? Can you send 5K? I'm like, sure, grab it and go. I do it in my lunch break. Literally, there's videos of me in Publix in my lunch break from work, like the Publix in the shopping center next to my job, because I worked Monday through Saturday. I'm telling you guys, I was a hardworking single mom. And I'm like, let me send this really quick. Plus, I'm getting like an extra cash, $300-400 for sending the money. Like, babe, just take what you need from there and send the rest. Okay, cool. You know? So that happens. We go to Bimini on a day trip. So we leave American soil, right? We go to Bimini. And at this point, someone has already snitched on Legend, and Legend's already under the radar. So when we get back, they're trying to confiscate our phones because, of course, we left American soil. So now we're in customs, like coming back from Bimini into Miami. And they take me and put me in a room. They're like, we need your phone. I said, huh? Like, we need your phone now. If you don't give us your phone, these are federal agents. I had no idea. I never had any encounter with police, federal agents. Like, I don't even know what's the difference at this point. And they're like, I need your phone because if not, we're going to take you to jail. You're going to get arrested. I'm like, what? I need to talk to Legend. And I'm looking at a Legend. They're like, you can't talk to him. I'm like, I need to ask him something. I'm like, what do I give my... I don't even have anything on my phone, but I did have the number to the people, to the name and the Western Union transfer address. They literally... I was scared to go to jail. Obviously, I needed to get back to my son. Never been arrested before. So I'm like, I guess I just give him my phone. They came back to my job a couple of days later, and they literally went to my job during my lunch break to give me back my phone. They're like, we have everything in your phone. We know everything. You either cooperate or you're going to get in trouble. And I'm like, in trouble for what? I haven't done shit. Like, I don't know, what you're talking about. They're like, well, here's our card. Don't give it to Legend. Don't tell him that we came to your job to give you your phone. And yeah. So that's the first thing I did was tell Legend, obviously. I went home. I'm like, hey, the feds came. They brought me my phone, and they said that I'm in trouble, that they have shit on me. And he's like, yeah, right. What, like, we didn't really know what was happening. So they went silent for like 6 months until
Did they take his phone?
Did they take Legend's phone? I think they did. Yeah, they took both of our phones.
Did you unlock them or did they unlock them?
They unlocked them.
See, everybody tells me all the time they can't get into them. Blah blah blah. I'm like, no, I
of
watched them plug
course.
it in.
They
I watched them
that
plug
shit
it in.
in. Oh yeah,
It literally breaks your code that quick.
They had text messages from us from when we first met. Like their whole thing was like, you guys bicker a lot, and we were young kids. Legend had hoes. So like when we met, he had girls that were on him. So I would tell
just take me to dinner, Legend. That's it. You don't got to worry about nothing. As long as I'm the main one right now.
No, absolutely not. I will fight you.
Did you beat
not
some,
anymore.
Did you beat some bitches
girl.
up?
Huh?
Did you beat some bitches?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not that girl. I'm not cool with, oh no, we're going to fight. I'm fighting you.
Okay.
Not anymore. Not today. No, not this Amanda.
You can just have them. If you
But
want to go do it, you can have them.
It happened.
Really?
Yeah, it happened.
So
did you guys plea out?
Did we plea out?
Like you didn't go
Oh
to
yeah,
trial?
of course.
Yeah.
We didn't go to trial.
yeah, but the thing is so they waited 6 months to come get what? When they came back 6 months, what happened?
They arrested me they arrested me. They arrested me. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I got arrested. Legend didn't.
Oh, he didn't?
No.
You know why they did that, right?
Yes.
To turn you.
To flip you.
Yeah, of course. And they didn't. And they sat me in that. That was the longest probably interrogation I think probably they've ever experienced. They even said, they're like, I've had people tatted up head to toe, face tattoos, have actually harmed people, killed people, and they crack in an instant. And I'm like, I don't know what you want me to crack about. It's your job. You fucking do your job. Like at the end of the day, I don't have any involvement. Like obviously I sent money through Western Union, sure. But I'm not doing any transactions. So I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is your job. You figure it out. And so I didn't crack. So then that's when they took me to FTC in Miami.
What was your charges?
My charge was possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute.
How did you get a possession if you never got caught with
If I
them?
never got caught with shit.
Wow.
Yep. Because what they did was they counted the packages that I sent the money for.
Yeah, but it's not
and
possession.
And when they arrested me, they went back to the house. Oh, sorry. Went back to the house, and they basically how they turn the house upside down. Didn't find shit, didn't find money, and I still got that charge.
Wow.
And at that point, there's no more MDMA being sold either way. So
at what point did they arrest him?
So he never gets arrested. Legend never actually gets arrested. So because this charge starts unfolding, you know, and the story starts unfolding, and he has to step in and be like, obviously this is not her drugs. Like, I'm stepping in, remove her from this. And they're like, no, it's too late. We gave her that chance. So obviously we know it's your drug. So he got the conspiracy charge.
So I'm lost here. So they get enough off of a snitch.
Off of a snitch, off of our cell phones.
But a snitch can't get them to getting your cell. That's not enough to get a warrant.
Well, because we left the country.
So when you come back in, they get rights. They're allowed to get your phone.
You don't have your rights.
You forgot. I forgot
that
about
was
that.
the perfect opportunity. It was set up for them.
So you're telling me he didn't have nothing on his phone?
I don't remember I think the same thing, like our text messages, like our conversation, like, hey, did you send the money? Or
there should have been enough to get him right there. They got you on it.
So no, it was me because I actually was the one to send the money.
But it should be a conspiracy though for him.
He did get conspiracy.
Yeah, but they should have had enough there to charge him with conspiracy.
No, they started with me because what the feds thought is that this was they thought they were going to RICO act. They thought Legend was a rapper. He had a lot of friends. He had other friends that were also doing shit at the same time, but had nothing to do with his operation. Legend's very smart, very, he keeps his shit organized. So whatever they thought was going on was not going on. So that's kind of where they're like, oh,
Can you clarify for everybody? Tell us how it went in interrogation, the questions they ask you and how they go about doing it.
Oh my gosh. I'm not going to lie. Like I have very blurred memory from that time because that was wild for me. I've never had gone through that. I was really nervous. So I don't even remember so much. I do remember just being in a freezing room. I remember them just like bashing Legend and being like, why are you defending him, and trying to make us turn against each other and bringing up shit that's like completely irrelevant to what's going on. They try to get in your head with your personal things.
Did they show you pictures of other women and try to do recordings saying he was cheating on you? They didn't play that dirty trick? That's notorious for women.
I mean, he wasn't doing shit like that. No way.
Yeah, but they'll take old stuff. They'll plant stuff.
Yeah, they were just like, bringing up old shit, like bringing up things that were completely irrelevant. But I've always been a very powerful woman mentally. So for me, like one thing has something to do with the other,
Yeah.
At the end of the day. But I remember, because I told you Legend did music at this time. So he did have a lot of merch and CDs, and like we would buy tank tops, make tank tops with the logo of his rap logo and shit. So I remember like we sent money for merch. We sent money for the CDs. Like that was just what I was sticking to. And they're like, no, you did not send money for merch. I'm like, yes, I did. And I'll show you the merch. So they would just bring up text messages. They would try to compliment me on my looks and try to like say shit like that. I remember having to go to the bathroom, and there was only one girl there in the station. And they're like, oh, you have to take her to the bathroom. Mind you, I don't have a phone. I don't have anything. I'm like, why does she have to go with me to the bathroom? So she goes with me to the bathroom, and she leaves the door open when there's there's agents standing outside of the door. I'm like, close the door. She's like, girl, ain't nobody trying to look at you. Like, no one's trying to look at you use the bathroom. I said, what are you talking about? Maybe people don't try to look at you, but you're not going to disrespect me and leave the door open while I have to use the bathroom. Like, if you have to be in here, fine, but close the fucking door. And it was just like that energy where like, you're not a person anymore. They don't give a shit.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they don't give a shit.
It was so funny. They sat down in mine when they put me in the room, and my co-defendant's other one, the first thing they said was they waited, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes to come in and played out like, what is, you're going to tell us everything? I'm like, well, what am I supposed to tell you? And they're like, well, your co-partner over here is telling
already
everything.
Said, yeah.
He done gave up everything. And I'm like, well, I hope he told you a good story. And they're like, oh, he sing like a bird. I said, can you tell me what kind of bird? like
Yeah.
mockingbird,
A canary.
redbird, a canary, like what kind of bird?
blue
And then
jay.
they were literally like, we're done talking to you. And he's like slaps the table and he's just a real cocksucker to me. They didn't really work on me. They didn't really say too much. They're just like, are you going to cooperate or not? And once I pretty much told them no and made a few jokes, they're like, fuck you. We're
They
out of
tried.
here.
I was there for like 8 hours. And they were saying that they were like, oh, Legends already said anything. Legends going home. You know, Legends getting to go home today, right? And you have to stay here. I'm like, okay, someone has to pick up my kid. And they're like, but Legends leaving. You're going to go. You're going to spend the weekend in the detention center. And I was like, okay. Like, and that's how they were.
I give him props, dude, because he actually, you said he went down there and was like, whoa, this is going too far. It's all me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not very many men would do that for their women. You know that, right?
He absolutely did. My dad was really pissed. So my parents don't live in Miami. So my dad was in California. I didn't tell him anything. I didn't tell anybody anything that was happening because at the end of the day, I didn't think, even after going to the detention center, I didn't think I was going to go to prison. That's not, you know, you're in denial. Like this whole thing is pretty, it's a lot for you to digest as a young woman, you know? And I didn't think any of that was going to happen. My dad was pissed that it got this far. He's like, well, you shouldn't have been involved in the first place. Like there should be hadn't been nothing linked to you in the first place. And I'm like, yeah, but Legend did, you know, he did step in. Like, and they're besties now. They get along great, but.
So they came up with, they said 10 kilos of MDMA. That's what they kind of calculated through all the texts.
Calculated, yeah, through text and like I guess the tracking from that connection.
Huh. So he gets sent. Where'd he go to prison at?
Coleman.
Oh, Coleman.
But Legend was on probation when this happened.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, and in a way, it was a blessing how it happened because it's like if I took some of his chart, looking back on it now, you know, because he would have been in there for a longer time.
Huh. Now, once you go to prison, the 7 months that you were there, you were saying that Coleman was pretty wild back then. What do you mean by that?
Okay. So at Coleman, everyone has to have a job. There's like the warehouses. There's that company. What's the company's name again? Unicor. Unicor. So Unicor is there. And you have to have a job. So I remember they're like, okay, well, you're pregnant. You have to work though. So you need to find someone that will hire you. And because you're here such a short term, you're not going to get a good job. You're probably going to get a job like in the kitchen or something. So I made friends with one of my friends, Randy, and she worked like in the sewage thing, but it was like a small group of girls where they had to go around all over Coleman. So not only in the women's camp, but in the low and the medium. And I don't know what that's called. What is it called where you have to check the sewage of the, like, of each location, like the shit things in the floor.
It's the tanks pretty much.
Yeah, those tanks, exactly.
The septic tank or it's the grease tanks, whatever it is.
In that area, I'm a girl and I was barfing and nauseous and I would like, oh, it was bad. But she was my friend. She's like, this CO, he'll hire you. Like you can just come with us and ride in the truck with us. And because everyone knew I was pregnant, I was the only pregnant girl there. So I got a little
that you knew of.
That I knew of, exactly. For now. So he was a great person in a sense of like he was doing his job and he was decent, normal. But because the Unicor warehouses were in the back of where that sewage department was, I would hear the craziest shit. And at first I was denying it myself. I was like, there's no way these men are taking advantage of their position. And these women are all vulnerable. At the end of the day, these are vulnerable women that are going through shit, leaving behind kids, leaving behind families. And no one I knew was a repeat offender. Everyone was a first-time offender in the feds dealing with massive sentences. And the shit I would hear I was like, there's no way. But I was pregnant. So you got to remember, I'm like out of the loop. I don't really have friends. Like I'm pregnant.
Yeah, but a lot of these girls are doing it for hustles though.
Some were, but some were not.
Yeah.
The ones that were near to like the people that I knew had a lot of time and they had been there for a couple of years. They'd been down already for a little while. So in Coleman, you didn't have to go that far to hustle. Like it was easy to get shit done there if you had to. So what was happening with the men and the girls there was definitely not on that type of level for, you know.
You think some of them wanted companionship or just like, 100%. You know, like
these men were definitely looking, they were putting money on their books. They were talking to them on the phone. They had wives at home. Like all of the stuff that would get into the prison came from the COs. All of it.
And it's funny, it's reverse on the men's side. We sneak everything in all through packs. You know, we had to find a way to get it in.
Yeah.
So when I was at Oakdale, Louisiana, we had a phone and we were talking because a lot of the Mexicans out there, their sisters and old ladies and their moms are in Fed too because it's a big family organization in the drug business. So I'll never forget, I went into one of the Mexican family's room. They were on the phone talking to I think it was his sister or cousin from a female camp, and they were talking on the phone. And they were on FaceTime, and they were cutting it up, and they were telling some crazy stories. But we sneak everything in, and they have all the guards bring everything in. They're like, shit, we just do what we got to do to get that stuff in. Like, shit, whatever. Like, don't think I ain't going to tease myself with a good time. I'm like, damn. Like these girls are like, you know, hey, I got to put that work in. Hey, you know, I make that bag. I get my stuff, and I'm eating real good. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, it's a different hustle.
It's a different hustle for sure. That, you know, I can't relate. I can't speak on that because I can't even like. Absolutely. The F not. I don't give a shit.
Here's the next thing I want to ask you about is the female drama relationships.
Oh, I almost got in a fight pregnant. Like the
girls pressing up on you trying to get
real.
Yeah. Real. Give us some good stories.
Okay, so I remember being pregnant. I was 6 months pregnant. I hadn't gone to the program yet. And you know, you're in your units. There's 4 different units. So I had to switch to a different unit, and the unit counselor for that unit was absolutely dating one of the girls in that unit. Absolutely 100% confirmed.
He's a male?
No.
A female?
2 women.
Okay.
2 women. She would go in there. They would close the blinds. They'd be in there for an hour. It was like everybody knew. It was as obvious as day. As obvious as the sky is blue, that's how these 2 were. So she thought, the one that she was dating, the inmate, thought that she ran shit in that unit. She thought she ran shit because she was having sex with the counselor, you know, ego boost. So she one day, someone had dropped something in the morning getting ready for work, and she was still asleep, and it made like a loud sound, but someone dropped something. It was an accident. You know, the units are all open. It's bunk beds and it's all open units, nothing separated. So she had dropped something, and this girl then was pissed. She was pissed that she had to wake up out of her sleep. So the next morning, she grabs her locker and she's banging it on the locker. Her lock, banging it on the locker. And I'm pregnant. I'm tired. Like, I have no reason to be up at 5 a.m. because I'm pregnant as hell. And she's like, if I have to wake up because somebody made some fucking noise, everybody has to wake up. And she's banging, and I get up instantly. As soon as I hear like the second bang, I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, who do you think you are? Oh, if I wake up, everyone here has to wake up. I don't give a shit. And I was like, who the fuck are you? Like, I don't understand who you think you are. You're an inmate just like everybody else. Like, you are, just because you're fucking the counselor doesn't mean that you are an exception here. Like, you're an inmate like everybody else. You go by your last name and you have your fucking federal inmate number, honey. And she's like, oh, she starts going off. And she wanted to fight me. But obviously I'm pregnant. So she kind of like, you know, she realized.
Are the girls really getting that many fights there?
Oh, she was aggressive as fuck with everybody because she thought she had power.
So they getting it in the bathrooms and showers and everything else, like fighting and stuff?
Not really. No, not really.
Oh, they're really not taking it at that level?
It was a lot of, no.
A lot of mouth?
A lot of mouth.
Really?
You're in a camp.
What about the drama in the relationships, though? Like, I mean, all the switching back and forth, sleeping in each other's beds and cheating and things like that?
The gay for the stay stuff, absolutely real. I've seen women now married with kids, and they were super duper gay in the camp, cooking for one another. Like, I know a girl that she was just the wife, the housewife for this girl. And now she is, I doubt her husband knows.
Really?
legit doubt her husband knows.
I've always been told it's like 85-90% of the women shack up in there.
I wouldn't say 80.
You wouldn't say that much? Not where you're at?
Not that much.
Really?
No, I would say like 40%.
What's some of the coolest things that women use in there to get through the day-to-day, like items they make? Is like Orange is the New Black. You ever seen somebody take the pads and make shower slides and stuff? Or like what's some of the craziest things you see women do with the stuff you're given to make ends meet?
The baking was crazy. Like, I know the food in prison is, everyone makes shit, but the way that they would put on like a festive event, you know, for Christmas or a birthday, you would actually think that the shit was store-bought. The cakes with the icing and this and that, and just so you know, the attention to detail for things like that. The crocheting was crazy. I remember someone crocheting me like a complete bikini set for when I got home, and it was gorgeous. For sure, that's selling today for like $500, $700. You can find shit like that. So just the creativity. Women are nurturing naturally. So even though there is women drama, I tell you, the nurturing ability and the women being there for each other and helping each other. Like, I remember when I got there, I went to my bed, laid down, and I was like, you know, I was just crying. I was just with my head in the pillow, like, where the fuck am I? And I woke up and my locker was filled of just anything that you could possibly think of, from a toothpaste, toothbrush, deodorant, an extra pair of socks, a shirt. Like, everyone collectively dropped something off just to be like, girl, we got you, you know, like, we got you.
Yeah.
And that's
my craziest things I tell people all the time is tell everybody how you make up and dye your hair.
Oh, so there's dye in the feds.
Oh, they're doing dye?
There's hair dye.
Okay.
Oh, you can buy it on the commissary?
Yeah, you can buy
because
it on the
I've heard girls say they do it a different way, and their hair's like really bad when they come out, and then they make makeup out of like Skittles and like all this stuff.
So the makeup, a lot of the girls would do eyeshadow and makeup with like colors, with actual like crayons and markers, things like that. And the way, I don't know, I just said, fuck it. I'm just going to let everything breathe and no makeup, nothing on my hair. I'm going to be natural.
Because it's shoe polish. Isn't it the shoe polish, the boot polish? They make black hair dye. And
Yo, so we had black hair dye on commissary.
What?
Yeah, the girls had hair dye. The shampoo was shitty. There was mascara on our commissary. It was mascara, some cheap ass mascara that outside you could buy in the 99-cent store, where they were selling it for like $15. The actual makeup, no, but everyone would get makeup from, you know, they would bring it in.
Was cell phones big in there when you were there?
No.
Girls don't have cell phones.
I know. Why is the females don't have cell phones?
They're telling each
I know
other.
a girl that did.
They tell that much?
Yeah,
Girls are telling that bad in there?
yeah, girls are telling for fucking makeup. Yeah.
So do y'all get outside packages all the time? Like where you're getting like free world food and like all
No.
kinds of like personal items you
only
could order?
when I went to the Tallahassee program. Yeah, that you would go to actual like Publix and Walmart.
Oh, you would?
Yeah, once a week, because you had a baby, so you had to get shit for the baby, the diapers, the wipes. They weren't providing that. You have to have money. You have to have money to be in the feds.
Yeah.
You have to have money.
That's crazy.
Yep, it was crazy.
What is some the most shocking things about prison that you?
The most shocking thing about prison, man.
Advice you would give somebody that something on the lines of where you thought it was really bad, it wasn't, or the most shocking part, was it that you thought it was worse than what it was? Or
I thought it was going to be worse than what it was for sure. I did see Orange is the New Black, and I was like, this can't be real. Almost 90%
So did you watch
of that
Orange
was
before
real.
you went in?
Before I went in.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
pretty accurate on like a
Super
men's,
accurate.
on men's camp also too, in a way, like how it kind of correlates of the day-to-day operations, not the politics wise, because it's different for females. But I'll be honest with you, I think they did a pretty good job with it.
Me too.
I really thought
Well,
they did a good job.
because Piper Kerman, she was incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
Was she fed?
she was fed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, that's a
She
perfect
wrote-
depiction. For anyone that's preparing to go to prison, watch Orange is the New Black.
She actually, I think she wrote the script in prison, and I followed her story because she shopped her story like for 200, like I think up to 200 times she shopped it or something. Like
Yeah.
everybody kept turning it down,
pitching
turn
it,
it
and
down.
they were
She was
saying no.
pitching it like over 200 times from what I understand. And finally, like a no-name production company got it, and they won Grammys, Emmy, all kinds of stuff, and made hundreds of millions of dollars, like filthy rich over it.
Filthy rich over Orange is the New Black. Absolutely.
Yep. Nobody would pick it up. They thought it was the dumbest thing ever.
I thought it was great, and it prepared me for prison. And
I thought it was pretty funny.
Shit was
First
accurate.
season.
You know what was crazy too? In the feds, like girls would be outside, like putting baby oil to tan. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Why are you guys tanning out here? Like,
Do you
what is
remember in
happening?
Montgomery they used to lay on them fucking benches on the hot sun, out in the middle of the benches?
Yeah, but sometimes I would get so pale white in there, I'd have to go get sun.
Yeah, but these things, when you're first getting to prison, you're like, you guys are tanning right now? Like, what the fuck? But I mean, you have to make your routine. That shit will consume you if you don't make your routine. Your time will do you. You will not do your time.
Time flies when you get in routines.
Time flies.
I'm talking about flies in there.
I mean, I don't know how much routine you can really get. It's the same shit. But yeah, if you have set something to help you out, it helps.
Because you're not thinking about it. Before you know it, you wake up and time you go through your little thing, next you know, you're like, damn, it's already dark time. 4 o'clock count. Dinner time. You're like, what? And just
it's crazy to have like that, be in that world within our world, like where you're like completely, it's just, I think it's the nearest thing to death. I feel like no one knows about you. No one thinks about you anymore. Like if you want to see who's going to mourn your death, you have to experience prison.
Somebody said it. There's a quote on TikTok. The guy said, if you want to see what death's like, go to prison.
Yeah.
Because everybody forgets you.
Everybody
it's like
you.
everybody just like says
bye
to you and comes and gives you a hug and cries over you. And next thing you know,
they're mourning,
you're in prison.
You're forgotten.
Yeah, you're forgotten. And when you're in, you're just like looking around like, and everybody's life goes on. They forget about you. And they're like, it's the same thing as death.
Yeah, it's the same thing as death. That's how I feel. And I realized like the friends that I had who actually was my friend, family. Wow. I mean, they got it.
I wrote half my family off in prison.
Yeah.
Huh?
I wrote half my family off in prison.
Same.
Yeah. So what do you do now?
I run the organization full time and I'm a realtor. So we founded 300 Letters. Our mission is to end the intergenerational cycle of incarceration. So getting families out of survival mindset into creation, mental health, empowerment, practical skills, life skills. Like we're coaches, just to help navigate that part of life that is really set to destroy you. Coming back as a parent is priority to me. You can succeed in every area of your life, but if you're not succeeding as a mother or a father, how does any other area really count?
Yeah. How long
when did you start? When did you start your organization?
2021.
What drove you to do that?
I just felt like, we went through that, and I knew so many incredible women. I met the best women in prison, and we were all worried about our role as parents. Every woman that I knew that was a mom was just completely worried about her relationship with her children and her child and what their children were going to think of them and how we were going to come back from this. And it was things we talked and brainstormed like every day. These are conversations we had every day.
The crazy thing about it is
90% of the women there were moms.
Well, not even that. A lot of people think when you go to prison, you come out, they help you, and there's all these things to do. There's nothing. They literally open up the gates and kick you out the thing. Like, you got a ride? And you're like, no. And they're like, well, then here's a bus ticket. Go find somewhere to go stay. A homeless shelter. We don't care.
For women, it's worse. Like, I have a mom right now that she's in our program. She's in a halfway house in Cutler Bay down south, and they're transitioning to only men. So she got to be out of there in 2 weeks before the 1st of January because they're transitioning to only men. Women have even limited resources when they get home. And when a woman goes to prison, you're looking at a girl like, what the fuck did she do? She must be not well mentally. She must be crazy. She's just not well. When a man goes to prison, he comes back and he tells his story. It's like the story of redemption. Like, you almost expected men to go through adversity. They go through shit, but then you see, look how amazing he turned his life around. He's that dude. He's that guy. Girls don't get that praise. They look at
I was
girls
shocked when you told me you've been to, I mean, not that you went to prison, but you're actually in the drug game and a little bit of thing. I was like, what? There is no way. Like, I understand we all have an image and stuff, but I'm going to be honest with you. Most of the guys I did time with, I've got guys that actually check on me more and look after me and hit me up every once in a while more than my friends that I went before I went to prison. I grew up with.
For sure.
Of course, yeah.
Because we understand that
You have
struggle.
a- you
If you look
this-
out here right now, there's like
You have
8
this connection. It's a brotherhood. It's a sisterhood that
Yeah.
creates. I have one of my greatest friends, and we don't even talk that often. Like, that's my sister, because we went through something that only her and I can connect, and we literally saw each other for who we were in probably your darkest part of your life or your journey.
I mean,
agree
a
with
lot
so
of that is
it's
trauma
a
bonding.
different type of bond.
Yeah,
you
trauma
know?
bonding.
It's trauma bond. Yeah, it's trauma bond. But even then, like going
I
through
don't
that
think
day
so.
to day, I don't think
so.
it's only trauma.
After a while, once
Yeah.
you get past that stage, it's not, because you actually live with the person. You actually get to
You
know
live
them.
with- yep.
You share the deepest things. You get to see them 24/7. So
You
you
get
get
to
to see their flaws, their good side. Friends out here, you only see them when you see them.
Exactly.
You don't know what they're like behind closed
you don't
doors.
have that they become family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your bunkie becomes your family.
Yeah, it's
Like,
true.
for sure. Because you're living with this person day to day.
Oh,
Day
yeah.
to day, you get to know who this person really is for who they are 100%.
So I want to go back to your 10-year-old. Is it boy or girl?
Boy.
Does he know he was born in prison?
Oh yeah. You should we have a video when I told him. I'm like, you were born in prison. No, I wasn't. I'm like, yes, you were. And he's like, tell me the truth. And he slaps like on our couch. And I had this conversation with him, and I've told him, and he's interviewed. We just did an interview with University of Miami, just a little segment on the organization and our story. And he's like, he knows. I told him he's a Tupac baby.
He is the true fed baby.
He is a true Fed baby.
That's too funny.
That's
But
I mean, it's not
he's-
funny, but it
I mean,
is.
it's not
He's a
funny,
child.
and it's cool in a way. It's not cool, but it is cool.
He has
He's
to
the
learn how to
child
own
that
it so he don't
has
get picked
no-
on. You know that, right?
What?
He has to learn a way to own it.
Oh,
so he
this
doesn't
kid
get
will
picked
not get
on. You know what
picked
I'm
on.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because if you don't, people are gonna be like, how
Well, no,
cruel,
I
why
mean,
would you want to do that to him? But you have to understand is if somebody out there finds out and they pick on him and he sees a shock, if he goes like, yeah, my mom already told me, like, what are you telling me?
Absolutely.
It's not new.
Transparency is key. Having these conversations, how are you ever going to protect your children or shield them from shit or bring that awareness to them if you don't tell them?
Yeah.
I feel like transparency is the biggest thing that you can give your children. Like, obviously, you don't want to expose them to things that are beyond their years at a certain age, but you do want to have these conversations. And when you are working in and exemplifying exactly what it is to pay it forward and be accountable for your life, that's what your kids are going to mimic. They mimic your actions.
So my daughter, hold on a sec. So my daughter, one of the things with my daughter is that I always like to be as open as possible because of the fact that I want her to see what we went through and the struggles and where it landed me.
Exactly.
And she's turned out to be a really great kid and she's really seeing the struggles. And as of right now, she's doing really, really good and her head's stronger because she'll tell you, I don't want to go down that same road.
Of course.
I don't want to do, I seen the struggles to see how bad it was. And I think that helped a lot. I didn't hide it from her. And
You
then,
honor them because
yes.
that's what's created you to be the father you are today and be that example in her life too. And when you don't hide shit from them that's critical in their development and the way that they view the world, your children want to do better and they understand differently. That's what I feel is super important. That's how we even empower our parents to navigate, the whole reentry part, especially when you've been away from your kid 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you leave a 5-year-old, you're coming back to a 15-year-old. What are you going to try to baby them and try to, just step back into this role of I'm your mom? It doesn't work like that. You have to be transparent.
When I got home and, my daughter hadn't spoken to me in quite some time. And then we finally saw each other this last year. And my mom, kept reminding me that Tay is not 9, 100 times. Mm-hmm. Don't forget, it was always ice cream and toys.
Yep.
And, she came down here. I got her off the plane. We went to Walmart and to the ice cream place. But outside of that, no ice cream and toys. But I did want to ask you about your older child.
Yeah.
Is boy or girl?
Boy, 2 boys.
He was 6 in 2014?
Yep. He
Okay.
was 6 and 24.
And when you guys went to Universal, what did you tell him about where you were going?
I told him I was going to be gone for a little bit, but both of his parents were going to be gone for a little bit. I told him he wasn't going to be seeing his dad for as long as he didn't see me. So me and him never really got to get into that until after I got home and actually understand that his dad was gone. He stayed with Legend's mom because both of his parents were gone. My parents didn't want anything to do with anything. That was their way of dealing with shit, at the time. They were really upset. So they were not in my son's life. My
So
mother-in-law
Legend's
was.
parents kind of took
Legend's
him
mom
as their own.
that's her baby.
Did
That's
you get
awesome.
visitation?
That is awesome.
Yeah. She
So they
took him
did come
every
and see
month.
you?
Every month
Okay.
she brought him. Every
That's
month
a
she
real
brought
stand-up
him.
lady.
And you remember, he's 6, 7 at the time. So he's looking around and he sees something says prison. And I remember him just being like, Mom, I know what this is, okay? I'm like, okay, baby. Like, it's only going to be a short time.
So
And then later we talked about it.
I'll tell you because of what you do. Like when I went to prison, my daughter was 8. We told her that Daddy was going to prison for lying. And when I got to the county jail, we could get books in, and then we found a loophole in their programming statements or rules and regulations that allowed us to get colored pencils and coloring books.
Mm-hmm.
So I started getting that in, and I was trying to do whatever I could to mitigate my sentence. So I was like coloring books and crayon and colored pencils brought in for everyone.
Yeah.
And we'd sit there in the freaking day room and color all day
All
long.
day.
A bunch of men, right? So then my daughter, who's 8, and her little friend or whatever, they're having a sleepover, and they're watching Scared Straight or some shit on National Geographic with bars and real violent.
Yeah, I know the show.
And so her little friend's like, "Is that like your daddy's jail?" And it's like, "No, they color at my daddy's jail." I was like, okay, yeah, and we had gotten.
She's like, no, this is a different
No,
type of jail.
they color at my
They
dad's jail.
color there. He's fine.
We had found great little things to do. Like my daughter was really into this thing called Five Nights at Freddy's. So her mom got me the Five Nights at Freddy's coloring book and her. And so I'd color one and she'd color the same one and we'd mail them back and forth.
That's what we would do too. Like I would draw on something, send it back. He would send me back that same drawing.
And then we got, I don't know if you ever had to do this, but like we'd play spelling games in I went to the Shoe on a Phone Shop for 75 days. And we would do like spelling games on pieces of paper and I'd send them in and we'd do like Hangman.
Yeah.
It would take forever.
It would take forever, but you had that connectedness. Yeah.
But no, that was the whole thing for us is and I have that. We have, me and Nelson at Federal Prison Tips have 900 clients. And a lot of them struggle with that age, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yep.
What do you tell the kids? For us, it's like, how long are you going to be gone for? Because I was going to be gone for a long time. I got 5 years, And the other thing
that's a big factor.
That scared the piss out of my kid was my statutory max was 100 years.
Oh, wow.
And I knew what I mean, at first, I didn't know about guidelines. So I'm hearing the same thing that the news is saying. My story made national news in some movies. And when I first got arrested, because I'd been on the run for 18 months, when I first got apprehended in Texas, the headline on CNN and in the LA Times was that I was facing 100 years in prison.
And she was saying this.
And my daughter was seeing this on the news. So, I mean, it was extremely traumatic, but I'm always curious when somebody, a man or a woman, sits with us that had kids around the same age, were you able to have that conversation?
Yeah.
And I guess you did to a degree, especially
I did
when they
to an
got there.
extent. And the thing is that having these conversations with them, while you're going through it, it also, like, our kids are, I would say they're so sheltered. Our 10-year-old has never experienced anything difficult. Our 17-year-old is in full school, his AP classes, his sports, amazing, incredible kid, because we've been able, where we grew up in survival. At 17, I was pregnant of him, Yeah. Like my life was a completely different journey to where I see my kids and they are in the mindset of their future. And that's exactly what our goal was with our organization, with our lives. Like me going through that experience was really a lack of awareness too. You're not aware of your decisions. You don't have the right people in your corner. Also helping you navigate life when you're doing it on your own and you don't have a support system. You're gonna hit the wall and you don't know what you're doing. So I think that's the most important thing when parents coming back and having those relationships with their children and rebuilding again is being transparent and being real with them, because you're gonna expose them to something that they may understand differently, and you're gonna create a different reality for them.
I was worried, and I tell a lot of people with the clients, I'm worried about social and the news cycle. And the kids going to school and being like, "Oh wait, I saw your mom."
Yeah.
My mom said your mom was a crack dealer.
Yeah.
Hear me out on this, and this is something that I don't know if it'll work, but I feel like if you got a handful of people together, like especially like women that did time that had kids and tell their story and have it as like on YouTube and all the social media things, like what do you tell your kid when you go to prison, or how do you explain it, and have it as educational videos, and then have men do the same thing to have really great stories and did a great job at it, a great way of explaining it. I think it would be a hit. Be honest with you, because there's nothing out there really, if you put it in, it doesn't pop up.
I love that. Yeah, no, that's a brilliant idea. You know who does really good videos about incarceration and mass incarceration? Sesame Street. And you see the puppets talking about incarceration or mom and dad in jail, and how to have, like, telling one of the characters of Sesame Street telling a kid, like, oh, your dad's in jail. Yeah, my dad's gone right now, and having that conversation. And that actually, like, it made me tear up, because the fact that something like Sesame Street, a platform like Sesame Street, is talking about incarceration in the U.S. is major. It says a lot about our nation.
About the United States.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You know, really, I think a lot of people.
Why do you think a lot of people go back, reoffend?
Why?
There's no resource.
Hold on. I want to see what she has to say.
Resources is one. Housing is another, right? The resources are definitely there. I think it's not addressing the mindset.
So
I think it's the survival part of life. When you are raised in survival and you are in that mindset of get money, I need to do this, I need to do that. I've been hustling my whole life. Like, this is the only thing I know. And there is nothing in place to get you out of that mindset. That's where reoffending happens, along with other factors.
Yeah. But the main ones are that. So my main thing is, so the 8 years I was down, I got to see a lot of people leave and come back. Mm-hmm. And then these are guys that were so good in prison, I never thought they would come back. Solid dudes, had their head on their shoulders. And I'm like, what in the world? And they're like, man, I tried to make it, dude. Like, apartment complexes, you're a convicted felon, they don't want you. Nobody wants to hire you. He's like, dude, I had it so hard, I couldn't figure it out. I had my mindset, I got a job, I did everything I was supposed to do. Nobody wanted to help me. Everybody saw me. I couldn't. I was falling behind. So no matter what, I was coming back to prison because I couldn't afford to make it, and probation was going to violate me. So I started selling a little dope just to make ends meet, just to get on my feet, get going. And then I got busted. And I'm like, what? And he's like, dude, they literally kick you out. These guys that did like 17, 18, 20 years, like, they just kicked me out. My parents are dead. Everybody's gone. Like, everybody wrote me off. And like, I went out there and it was just like, I had nothing to do. So he's like, I just said, fuck it. I came back.
Yeah. So everyone fucks up, right? 1 in 3 people, more people have a criminal background than people with a bachelor's degree in the US. Of course.
Yeah.
Like, that's just what it is. So our society has done an incredible job of shutting us out. Once you have a background, you are a second-class citizen. You're under the felon umbrella for the rest of your life, basically. And like you said, it's all of those collateral consequences that come with getting in trouble. Everyone makes mistakes, yet you will have to live with that one experience, that one mistake for the rest of your life. I'm a realtor now. I just got my real estate license a couple months ago. And everyone was like, you're not going to be able to be a realtor. They're going to deny you, you know. And my whole mission with this is to advocate. Like, right now I'm advocating for a mom. Yeah, she has a background, but she's been through our program. She has a job. She has good credit, you know, like, advocate, have those conversations, expose people to understanding that anyone can be incarcerated. You know, anyone can have that experience.
So what was the struggles of did you have any hurdles getting your real estate license?
So I didn't. I literally did the course. I sent in my application. I checked off I'm a felon. I sent in my paperwork, sent in everything, and it got approved. So out of all the felons I know that are realtors, they had to go to Orlando.
In front of the bar.
In front of the bar, yep.
Bar. But here's the issue is a lot of them, I was told a lot of it has to do with if they have any kind of fraud, money laundering or fraud on theirs.
Of course.
If you have that, you're pretty much it. If it's just drugs, I heard it's nothing.
Well, I know someone that had drugs and he still had to go to Orlando and, you know, appeal his case. So it depends. It probably depends. There's a lot of factors, right? But it's definitely possible. And I'm the type of person that if I did it, I know anyone can do it. Yeah. And I will share my steps. I will share every single part of my process, what helped me, what didn't help me, how to do it. And I will give you the blueprint. That's how I am with everybody.
I feel like the numbers are so high now. Things are starting to change that they're going to have to start doing away with what they're doing. and hiding it. And actually, whenever you do your time and commit your crime and do your time, it's supposed to be gone. Only the judge can see it. I think it's getting to because the number is so big. It's getting to point. It's hurting the society. It's hurting the stock market.
Yeah.
The GDP. It's hurting everything in society now that they're going to have to rewrite.
I mean, it's because the prison industry is a massive industry.
Yeah.
And people aren't aware of that. People aren't aware of why our incarceration rates are so high.
Nobody cares until it happens to them.
It's not because we have so many criminals. It's not a criminal mindset issue. It's not. We're all the same. We're all the same people. No. We all fuck up. We all make mistakes. We all have dibbled and dabbled into shit you're not supposed to. That's the reality of it. The reality is that they're putting off everyone to be criminals. And our prison industry is an $80 billion industry. Like, it's massive. So if you think about that, then you know exactly why they're doing what they're doing. It's part of the culture of our country.
Yeah.
It's embedded into the.
Go ahead.
I got one final question before we wrap, and then we'll do more of this.
Just don't commit crime.
On the other show. Why the name 300 Letters?
That's how many letters Legend and I wrote to each other while we were in prison.
300 letters?
We have them all. Probably more. I was pregnant.
Oh, she was letting it all out.
You know, I was going in. Telling, scratching out everything you can think of.
She published some of them.
A raging Latina pregnant in prison. Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. All right. Before we go, where can people find out more about you? And also, I want to know, want you to drop where people can find out more about the organization.
300letters.org, at 300letters on Instagram. My personal Instagram is Truth by Amanda, always spitting truth and always spitting knowledge. You'll find me doing a little bit of everything, but yeah.
We see you going out all the time. You're out.
Out? No,
I mean, go to events and things like that with your husband.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I'm Kyle, Federal Prison Tips everywhere.
I'm Jason Vacherbeck, 8UpJ on all my social media.
And we'll see you next time with 10 Toes Podcast at 10toespodcast.com from the Yard Content Studios in Hollywood, Florida.
Yes.